Welcome back to Old Guy REI. We're continuing our series on Meet the Investor, which we started a few weeks ago, and just reaching out to a few of our friends in the community to familiarize them among the other people that maybe have not had a chance to meet you or see you. But today we're lucky enough to get Harrison Miller, also known as Trade Better 99, on with us. And Harrison, thank you so much for being here. I know we've crossed paths several times online. We haven't had the opportunity to meet in person yet, but um, I'm glad we get a chance to talk tonight. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Frank. I know I was hoping for this year in person, but next year it'll definitely happen.
Yeah, we're
So
shooting
thank
for
you.
that. We'll see. Um, so, do you mind if I start off asking how old you are?
Sure. 37. So
Okay,
I'm going on 38. So pretty soon.
great, great. And where do you live and where do you invest?
Sure. I'm based out of Central Virginia, somewhat close to Richmond, but not. That's the main place we go to with. Um, yeah, so I invest actually in Akron, Ohio, just city outside of Cleveland. That's where my family actually is from on my dad's side. And so it was an area that I'd been to enough in my youth. I hadn't been there in a few years, but at least I knew where it was. So out of state investing right off the bat because Virginia during the pandemic years was absolutely crazy because everyone from up north, up in the Northeast, was moving down here. So, and we were coming back from across the country, and it was just yeah, we could not do that. So that's why right away I knew I was investing out of state. And Akron's been a good market, and I'm really excited about it. It's one of those places where it's all cash flow. You have to understand that right away. But
Mhm.
it's a very consistent market, and that's what's really nice is that it's not going to go up, it's not going to go down too much. There's always going to be people there because it's a pretty good drive-through area, and it's more affordable, believe it or not, than areas like Cleveland or other areas around that. So there's a lot of drive for that area.
Okay, great. Um, yeah, you mentioned cash flow. I know you've heard our story, but Cynthia and I, at our age, we're older, obviously, and we're investing for cash flow. And I think the St. Louis market where we're at is very similar. We don't really expect too much appreciation, but the cash flow's been good. So that's really good. What types of properties do you like to invest in?
Sure. Right now it's the most popular one. It's small multifamilies. So right now I have a duplex, and so the great part is that it does well. It holds its value very well. Downside is now everybody wants them.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
and it's gotten to the point where actually my realtor has gone out of the market. She's like,
Oh,
yeah, so it's like right now it's a super hot market, and so that's why it's kind of holding off right now on my next one, but I'm definitely looking.
okay.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, that brings me to another thought I was having. I've heard you on other lives and podcasts talking about expanding your search to a different market. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Sure. This was interesting because so Akron I got in because family, but I also had a friend who had the contacts and everything. So right away, no problems. And so I was with it being so hot there, I can't believe I'm saying Akron's hot, but it's hot. And so I'm like, okay, well, it's kind of like what Zuber was talking about. Let's draw a circle outside to see where we can find something. Well, lo and behold, an hour and a half away east is Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And there's a pretty large group in the area. I've been getting to know Mark, financial firefighter, and then once again, everyone else on it, Jack, Mikey Buzztune, who you talk to all the time.
Yeah.
And then it's just I realized right away there's a really good network there already. And so it's something that I said, hey, can I talk to you about it? They're like, hey, join. The water's perfect. And so that's why I've opened my market out there. Meeting with the realtors right now, had a few tours. Still haven't found what I wanted yet, but at least I'm putting my 90 days in, seeing what the market looks like for me.
Hmm. And are you still looking for duplexes or small multifamily there?
Yeah, yeah. So it's believe it or not, so the small multifamilies there are older than I thought, between 1910 and 1960. It's like that's a pretty decent age. These go to the 1800s. These are
So that's great.
ancient. It's like so I mean, it's just oh my goodness. So it's like there's so many things to think about, but yeah, it's actually really nice because there's a good um variety of duplexes all the way to quadplexes, and they kind of spread out, and it's really exciting that there's different parts of it. And Pittsburgh's a little bit different. It's not a centralized city, say like St. Louis or Akron or Cleveland. It's actually like a smattering of a bunch of small towns. So you have different personalities on each spot. So you actually have to learn that area right away. So it's been really exciting.
Yeah, great. And it's nice that you have some other investor friends there to kind of help you, I guess, research the areas, see which
Yeah,
neighborhoods are good and which neighborhoods might not be so good. I
exactly.
know, yeah, there's been quite a few other people that have are venturing into Pittsburgh. I think, and actually on one of the podcasts I was listening to recently, Pittsburgh was one of the top five markets in the country to invest in recently. So good. Hopefully you'll find something great there.
Yeah. It's
And
very oh sorry. Yeah, just
no, go
to
ahead.
finish the thought was that it's interesting because it's also probably more of a value add location.
Mm,
So you're not going to find anything that would cash flow right away. And this was the first time I've only heard of these in theory, terracotta pipes. I
mhm.
was like, I did not know that was a thing in Ohio, but it's very prevalent in Pittsburgh. So I have to do a lot more research in this spot. So there's a lot more gotchas there. That's a very interesting point. So it's popular, yes, but also be sure that you could lose a lot of money really fast.
Yeah, that's a tough one because I mean, we're all about sewer scopes and making sure things are clean and flowing, but if you have terracotta pipes and they're clean and flowing, you just never know how long that will be the case. So
Exactly.
I guess you, I've heard you talk somewhat about how you analyze deals, and I've always been impressed by how much depth you get into. But with the terracotta thing, do you think you would be setting aside a little bit more money just in case something like that had to be replaced? Or,
Yeah, you hit the nail right on the head. It's one of those where Ohio, it's like, it's set 10,000 aside per door. And you're just saying, worst case scenario, nothing's really gonna really break me, knock on wood. But with Pittsburgh, I mean, they're older homes, older locations, and you don't know the geographics of the area as well. I mean, you're right. I go all in when I
yeah.
try and figure the area out. And so that's where I'm like, okay, so let's just, I mean, I'm still in my first 90 days of really figuring it out. So I'm just saying, let's do an extra 5,000 cushion right now. And then, so that's the great thing about talking to the other realtors who invest in the area, saying, yeah, that's enough. Or saying, maybe you want to set aside a little bit more just in
Mhm.
case. And so that's what I'm really doing right now.
Yeah, that's great. I think, and we've always talked about too, having enough reserves because that could really hurt you if you don't,
Yeah.
no matter what the expense might be. Um, so right now, do you have one duplex or do you have a couple?
One duplex right now.
Okay.
That's the one thing.
And when did you start buying?
So I started, we actually started with my primary with the intention of turning it into a duplex eventually
Oh,
in Virginia. That's why we bought it the way it was. It's like, okay, this would go well because we were planning on, not only buying the places in Ohio, but also potentially doing a house hack style move around in Virginia as well, because that's where the family is. And so they're saying we're not moving.
ah,
But yeah, that's the idea right now is that, uh, right now, yeah, it's just the one property right now, and but we're definitely setting aside and we're ready to pull the trigger on the next property right away. So
okay. And when
yeah.
did you get that first property?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot that part of the question. So I'm actually wrapping up. No, actually, I just did my first year. So I closed on it April 1st
Oh,
last
nice.
year, 2024. Um, yeah, and got the primary 6 months before that. And so this was very rapid fire, but I've been studying real estate. This is going to be shocking, almost 10 years.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I've always been like, oh, let's buy a house. And this was one of those where I didn't really know anything about buying a house. I just knew that make sure the fixes aren't too expensive and make sure you're not the most expensive property in the neighborhood. Those were the two things I went by
Okay.
because I've been married 10 years. And so it's like, oh, let's, find our place. And
Uh-huh.
instead we've actually been kind of traveling around. So yeah.
Right. Yeah. So what made you think, or why real estate? What is your goal with that? Is it to retire early or?
I mean, honestly, it's one of those I retiring early. I think when I got into it very exclusively, probably 2021, 2022, the idea was that I wanted to have something more for retirement. I didn't think I was going to retire early. I mean, I just don't know what the market's going to look like, but having something at the end because I don't know what my 401k is going to look like in, 30 years. And I'm just saying, well, let's hedge our bets. And I mean, in the grand scheme of things, real estate is not as expensive as, putting other things away. And so, or as I'm more of a stock market person, putting all my money in there as well. This
Mhm.
is a kind of happy medium here where I feel at least there's something there and it's tangible. So that's where what I've gone that method. But I never would have saw myself going this way, probably
Mhm.
prior to 2022. Yeah.
Okay. What is your W-2? What do you do for a living right now?
Sure. I work as a data analyst slash scientist. So I work with data for medical research, specifically cancer research. And so I build a lot of applications for that and everything. And my goal is like always just to make sure that researchers have the tools that they need to make sense of the data that they're collecting for a lot of studies. And so it's healthcare has always been a passion of mine, and especially in family and everything. And yeah, I've always had a nurse or a doctor in our bloodline for geez, I think 10 generations. And
Oh,
so
wow.
it's, yeah, so it's one of those that we
Nice.
always love helping people. We love being, more health conscious. And I married a nurse, now nurse practitioner. But so it's always is like always being there and being healthy or focusing on helping others in healthcare and health times. It's been something that we've always tried to be targeting anyway.
Okay.
So,
And I know you recently had a baby girl,
yes,
and is she your second?
first.
First.
So,
Okay.
yeah, this is our first one. So we are. Ooh, this is yeah, she's wow, 2.5 months right now. And so
Right.
it's been a whirlwind. It's been a lot of learning. It's been really just it's been exciting. We've loved it. But the sleepless nights are that's been hard.
Yeah, that could
So
add up quick. That's exciting, and we've had the opportunity to get a glimpse of her. She's beautiful.
oh, thank you.
I was wondering. You mentioned your wife being a nurse. Is she still working?
She's taking time off now.
Okay.
We took an extended sabbatical so that she
Hmm.
can be home with the baby and everything. And she just more wants to like I guess there's a study that said, hey, the first 1,000 days are the most critical to a baby's development. So she wants to really maximize that time, whether it be working part-time or anything like that. And since I'm working from home, it's great because I get to see both of them right
Yeah,
now. So it's nice.
that's a really nice thing
Yeah.
to be able to do. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's been a while since we've had little ones around. Our youngest is, I think, 31. He'll be
Oh
31
wow.
this year. Yeah. So, but yeah, and he doesn't have any kids yet, so we might have little ones again someday.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. So, also, I guess, speaking about uh, being married and having a family, one of the things that was a big concern for me getting started in real estate was not just the fact that I didn't have any retirement. Uh, and so I was probably the first time we tried in real estate, I was in my 40s. And, you've heard the story. It didn't go well for us. We lost properties, went through bankruptcy, and all those kinds of fun things. But then we were lucky to find Zuber and the one rental at a time community through Bigger Pockets. And in 2019, just started learning as much as I could because I always felt like it was a way to help us, right?
Right.
Um, and again, I mentioned earlier us being closer to retirement age, and we don't really we're investing for cash flow, and we're probably going to be. taking Social Security at some point soon. So for us, it wasn't really a way to retire early, but it was a way for us to be able to retire,
Right.
period, right?
Right.
So hopefully the portfolio will have a little bit of time to grow and stabilize and optimize and all those things. But um, my second part to that thought was um, that I felt I needed some extra income in case I got hurt, I couldn't work, or worse, and that Cynthia would have some extra income to help her get by on. But then I also started thinking about if something did happen to me, would she be able to run the portfolio? So how involved is your wife with the investing side so far?
So she is better with numbers. I will say she is smarter than I am. So thankfully, I double check everything through her, whether it be the financial accounting, making sure that we're paying our bills on time, making sure we're doing that. So she's very, very good at the tangible items with that. So, and I'm very grateful for that because I'm more of, I guess, the big idea guy. Let's do this. Let's figure it out. And she's like, no, 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 numbers first. I'm like, okay, okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's I've been it's been a real blessing on that side. And I mean, I relate with you on that is that back in 2022, 2023, I had cancer and I spent 5 months before getting a proper diagnosis. The doctor just said, well, we know it's cancer, but we don't know what it is. And so we're gonna take all these tests and everything. And
Uh-huh.
that was very sobering really fast because my was all stocks. I was like, oh yeah, like this is how you do it, this is how you measure it, this is how you do it. And I was telling my wife about the portfolio, this is when to sell, this is when she just looked at me, she says, I love you, but I have no idea what's going on. It's like it's just and that was fair. I was like, okay, so what do you know or what is more tangible for you? Well, real estate is about as tangible of an asset that you can get that you can make that makes sense. And I mean,
Hmm.
same thing, yeah, with Cynthia, it's like, it's just I wanted to know that there was something that I could leave behind for her, making sure like so that's why like right away when I was going through treatments, it's like I got locked in on a rate, and then I got locked in like I was looking at houses like going through my chemo days. I was like, all right, what can we get? What can we do that? And I mean, it's just I mean. It's very sobering when you get to that. I mean, you don't want to think about end of life. You don't want to think about that, but it's like it's very important for our loved ones to really plan for that.
Yeah, you're right, and it's a shame. I mean, it's a downer, right? So when we're
Oh
young,
yeah.
we don't want to think about it, but it
No.
would be nice if we did think a little bit about it while we were young, and we'd have so much more time to to put a plan in place. Um, yeah, so she's uh, she's been involved. Our son's been involved through the process, at
That's
least
great.
this second time around. And so one thing too that I've mentioned to her, and I've even told some of our other friends in the group is like, if something happens to me, I let Cynthia know all these people are people you can call if you need any advice or anything
Yeah.
going on with the properties or whatever. Because even though we're all spread out pretty much, a lot of you guys have been involved in our journey from
Yeah.
when we started. So I think that's a little bit of a relief for me. But like I said, hopefully we'll get to enjoy the fruits for a while before
Oh
anything
yeah.
happens.
Exactly. And that's a great way to think about it. You are. And I mean, that's been the great thing about, I mean, you were already doing the get-togethers before school started, and I was able to join on a few of those beforehand.
Mhm.
And that was really exciting for me. So it's like I've always liked to use as a mentor because you've been able to sit down passionately, like talk about everything and very, listen to everyone's issues and like you'll be like, here's an idea, or I think, certain this person knows, that person knows. It's like, and so that really got me excited. And likewise, it's like I've given my wife all, like the contacts of everyone I trust. It's like if something happens, you can talk to these people. And I was actually just telling her not too long ago, it's like we have a lot of great friends, a lot of great family members, but sometimes it's like, well, do I trust them with my real estate portfolio or do I trust them with certain other aspects of other items? And it's like, no, it's like the community that we've really built here. I'm like, you can trust this group
Mhm.
here. It's like, yeah. So
Yeah, it's been amazing. Just the like you said, the community there's not I don't know, everybody just shares, and I think
Yeah,
you mentioned the accountability call that we do, and I think one of the things that people bring up most often is the fact that they get to hear the problems
yeah,
and the bad side as well as the good side. I think that helps people a lot more than, for a long time, Bigger Pockets interviews were just all the glory, right? And they weren't,
right.
so of course you're going to jump in thinking everything's perfect, but as soon as the first challenge comes, you're kind of lost. So
Yeah,
yeah, we always appreciate everybody coming in, and a lot of good connections have been made. People from different states realize they have another friend or investor near them, and they've gotten together. That's been really special.
yeah, yeah. I've really appreciated that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things. It's like, I mean, that's really been the beauty of like online, like video calls and everything. It's like you realize that you have honest friendships,
Hmm.
like across. That's been the real great thing.
Yeah.
So
We always tease everybody that you guys are a new family, so you're stuck with us.
I love it.
So it was really great to hear. I had heard about your health scare on some of the other interviews that you have done. I'm really happy that everything has gone well for you. Um, and I'm sure that was a super motivating factor to push you to want to build something, like you said, and like I said, for our spouses to be able to be okay,
Yeah,
if they needed extra money or whatever it might be. And then, um, we tease a little bit because Cynthia doesn't really like to be on screen. Mark's
right.
been after her for a while to get on and have an interview, but she once we went to Vegas the first time, she realized how great everyone was, and I don't know. I was connected to everybody before we met, but she, and when we were going to Vegas, I kind of had the feeling like I didn't want it just to be about me meeting all you guys, that we've been
Right.
talking for months, but she also came away with some people that she felt really special connections to. So I think that worked out really well. And we heard about it on the second ORAT too, right? A lot of wives went that weren't really into it, and they came away all jazzed and enthused about making moves. So that was really great to see.
Yeah, it was really exciting because I mean, that's what I want for my wife next year because she's going to be coming. Couldn't come this year because of the baby, but I mean, I that's the big thing as well is that I want her to because she does not like being on camera. So it's one of those that's once she meets everyone in person, I mean, thankfully it's like um she actually built a connection with Jen, which was excellent. So they've been texting back and forth, and so I think that's been making it a little bit more tangible as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
Jen is really awesome. She's special.
yeah.
So you're diving into Pittsburgh. I know we have a few other friends that are there. What are you thinking? Do you have a goal as to how many properties you might want or need?
Want and need are two very different questions. So, what do I want? Yeah, I'd love to go to, I think the dream was maybe 30, like 30 doors.
Mhm.
Um, I think tangibly, probably about half that, between 10 and 15. I think that would be very comfortable, we could go into retirement really well by that time. But my eyes are always big, and I'm always excited to really try and because now that we have the tools, it's like, oh, we can do this. It's like, it's more of just making sure that the deals are correct, the right ones for us. But I would love, yeah, my dream would be 30. I'll go for that.
Yeah. We talked a little bit about that, all over the place in the group. Cynthia and I talk a lot about our portfolio and stuff, and she, um, I mean, she surprises me sometimes because we think, okay, if we could retire and right now we have 10 doors, right?
Yeah,
So if we could live comfortably off that, then we just ride off into the sunset. And she's like,
right.
no, we could still keep buying, but we've also talked because when everybody has been asked, what I guess they call it your monthly nut, right? How much
Right.
cash flow do you need to live month to month? And when you start out, when we started out, we were figuring we would like to have $200 per door positive cash flow. And if that was the case, we would need 30 doors
Right.
to accomplish that. But then after you get into it and you've been in for it for 5 years and rents increase and different things happen, maybe at the end of 5 years, you don't need 30 anymore. You know, maybe you're good with 20 and that
Yeah.
would cover your monthly expenses. So I was getting to the fact that at your guys' age, in 5 or 10 years, even if you just had three or four, they probably will just be all you need. You
Yeah,
know,
no, yeah, that's exactly true. Because I think if I calculated it right, and if it, I mean, say if rents didn't go up, 30 years from now, we could retire with eight. I think that'd be the above the minimum, like we could retire comfortably. I mean,
uh,
we're not extravagant people at all. So we just, as long as we can get by, we're happy with. Eight's great. But if we're like looking for, I guess what's called the fat fire retirement, it's like, oh yeah, let's go for the 30. Or I mean, you're right, 20's not bad either. So it's just,
yeah,
yeah,
whatever you have is going to
yeah,
be way better than not having any.
right,
Um, I think it was Zuber this morning was talking about why he asked a question about why people invest, and there were two thoughts. The one thought was because we're afraid of being broke on the
right.
one end, and the other one was because you want to be rich. And it was surprising. Almost everybody that answered the question was afraid of being broke. So that says a lot to me, and especially the way things are these days. I mean, I know with the president being in office for a short time, things are really shaken up right now. But I do have hope that things are going to even out. The market's going to come back, and so don't sell all your stocks right now. Different things like that. So um, at least being able to get started again for us has really given us a more positive looking future. So I'm thankful that we had the chance to do it a second time and being able to like start this channel, for example, and we just started it to try to help people because first we lost everything the first time. So there was a lot of lessons to learn there. And then even starting the second time with a better education, I guess, we still had mistakes and we still had lessons, but they were not devastating like the first time. How has your first rental gone? You said you've had it a year now. Have there been any issues for you?
Yeah, there's been bumps and bruises. I mean, it's one of those that I said the first 6 months where I was going to sleep at night telling myself, yeah, I'm having fun. I'm really enjoying it, even though it's like, I spent, 6,000 on plumbing, 8,000 on electrical, and then you're just like, oh, this is bad. So, but at the end of the day, it's like because I knew it was going to be some value add. And it's one of those things because I don't live there and I don't see the property, it's kind of like, ooh, this hurts. But I mean, honestly, as it's been going, it's been relatively smooth. I mean, tenants are, I mean, my goal has always been because, surviving cancer and I've always wanted to be the best asset for folks. And I mean, not coddling or anything like that, but I always wanted to make sure that, because my landlord was fantastic with us, said, hey, whatever happens, just let me know. And so we wanted to be like that, paying it forward in that way. And, that's really the goal for me. I'm sorry, I
Oh no,
diverged from the question.
yeah, no. I
So
was just we were just talking about the challenges, and you mentioned
yeah,
spending
oh
some
yeah.
on repairs and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, and that's the thing is that I'm always there for like if it's a definite need right away, and that's why I got a property manager too, was that I wanted to be there just so that we could have instant fixes because unfortunately Ohio gets cold, and so if the the furnace is out, people get cold, so we need to make sure that it's going. And I was able to do that when I was self-managing for a little bit, but it was a lot more like, hey, back and forth, where our property management company has actually been very good. I mean, so I have to give them a lot of credit that they get people out there, they get the work done. So, and I that's the way I've done it, and the fact that we've survived the first year, it's made it say, okay, we can do this again. And that was the hardest part. It's like I know, especially like with Grace and everything, it's one of those things where it's she and I have had a lot of conversations like, can we do this again? And it was one of those that, yeah, I think we can actually. So that's been the really good part about making it through.
Yeah,
As
it's really awesome to be able to chat, you guys with each other to, because I've said before too, Cynthia really helped me stay sane because we went through quite a bit last year. And, I was ready to sell everything and move to Mexico or something, but she was the level-headed one. And, um, and now that everything is fixed, things are starting to look much better and
yeah,
the cash is starting to come in. But yeah, we had some crazy expenses last year. Um,
yeah, yeah.
and
But oh no, yeah, I was just gonna say it, and it's been the great part about having channels like Zubers, like yours, because it's like you've been able to share that journey, and they're like, what is the worst that can happen? And it's like you're like, hey, let me tell you, and so it's like, and guess what? We're still here, and it's like,
yeah,
so I mean, that's been a really great thing for Grace and I is that it's like, oh, we can do this. It's like we have people that we can talk to. We have resources. I think that's the biggest thing that's really helped us on this journey is that most people go into it saying, "Oh, I don't know what I'm doing," but it's like having you and everyone else. It's been really comforting in that way.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah.
It does help, and I had to kind of learn because I wasn't ever I was someone that didn't really like to ask for help, and I had
Mm.
to make myself realize that I was telling everybody to lean on all you guys in the group, right? If they had issues, and I wasn't doing it myself. And that was a little bit of a hard transition for me. But once I started doing it, and everybody, I mean, you could tell them all the problems you're having, and you'll never hear somebody say, just sell it all. It's not for you. They're
Right.
like constantly giving you tips and ideas, and oh, yeah, this happened to me, and this is what I did. And, that was a year ago, and now things are evening out. Yeah, I talked to Dion a lot, and he has encouraged me and reminded me that when you're in the moment, it is pretty tough, right? But next year, like you're not even going to remember what you were going through or those feelings, and it's been true. So I'm really thankful for everybody too in the group.
Yeah, and you brought up a good point as well, is that I didn't think about this, but back in 2019, 2020, when everything was going crazy, I felt that panic. I felt that, I was like, oh my goodness, the world's falling apart. And then, but fast forward 5 years, it's, you know, going
Yeah,
through a whole bunch of life stages, and then on top of that, investing in something that we believe in and understanding, there is a tomorrow. It's like it's not going to end, and all of a sudden, like is retiring rich or a fear of being broke or anything like that. It's like we'll figure it out, and I feel at least positive towards that way. So you brought up a really good point for that.
yeah, we've learned so much, and that's one thing that I kind of, you know, harp about sometimes too is just not learning about real estate only, but all the financial literacy that comes with it. I talked to, well, like I was on a call with Jennifer Stewart today, for example, and I would have not known of her
Hmm.
except for Mark and the Lumberjack having her on their shows and things. So we talked about lending. We talked about the way that Matt signed up with her for lead generation and helping him find deals. And she does happen to be in the St. Louis market, and she mentioned that she likes Gary and St. Louis, and she works with investors in both places. And so, yeah, just getting to meet all these people that, again, they're super helpful. They're not going to cheat us, or lie
Right.
to us. And she's super honest, and she says she thinks it's to a fault of her.
Yeah.
She says that about herself, but I really appreciated that. And anyone, at least you know where you stand when somebody's honest with you, right? I would rather have
Right.
that than them try to, cover it over with cinnamon
Exactly.
butter or something. So
Yeah.
I think that has been a huge plus. And sometimes, we were just laughing the other day because we were listening to Zuber and Dion one morning, and Matt, and they were talking about conventional financing versus DSCR, and at the end of watching that, I was just amazed at the fact that I understood what they were talking about. Right,
Yeah.
a couple years ago, we would have been so lost, and so that's been a huge gain for us too.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you because it's, I would have not known what a DSCR, I would not have known I mean, even sub two was like the big, but I didn't know what it was. And I mean, so it's been great hearing like creative financing, and especially in this market. That's been the great part. Everyone's talking about it. It's like, hey, can we make it do this, do that? And it's made me excited to find deals. I can't believe that. It's like because I used to listen to what was it, Reventure. It's like,
Oh,
oh, the market's collapsing, everything's terrible. Don't, give up now. And but it's just, I mean, and that was also like putting that aside and just like listening. Well, let's get the knowledge first and let's do that. And yeah, I agree with you. It's like just sitting down laughing at this. And I mean, it's funny because I never thought real estate would be fun.
mm.
And the fact that it's fun and you're actually like just putting the work in, but telling fun stories, telling wild, like, oh, let me tell you what happened to my stories. It's like, it's like,
Yeah. Oh, that's
it's been
nothing. I
great.
got one.
That's yeah, exactly. I got something for you. So,
Yeah, and
yeah.
that one of the other things that I've noticed and is pretty exciting is most of the people in the group are happy just to sit around and talk. Talk about real estate. Sometimes we get off track and we talk about, especially when Mark's around, we get off
Yeah.
track. But everybody's still so enthusiastic. There are a couple of people that you know do I think they do real estate because they understand the power of it, but they're not like, I wouldn't say they're in love with it. I think
Right.
most of us are in love with it,
Yeah.
at least for now. So I'm glad we found you, and again, I appreciate you being on with me. I think we'll have to do it again after you get your next property, maybe, and see how that all works out. I know we all hope for the next deal to be even better than the last one we bought. Um, so that's a good thing to look forward to. And then hopefully we'll get to see you in this coming February.
Yes. Any other, barring any new pregnancies or anything, you should see us. So,
Yeah.
but
Well, I
no,
guess that's up to you.
I know, right? Exactly. But thank you,
Yeah.
Frank.
Yeah, of
Yeah.
course. The other thing before I forget, I realized you are wearing the ORAT shirt, and I wanted to let
Yes.
people out there know we are still selling them, and we were selling them and collecting the proceeds to donate to the Blind Center where the event is held, and it will be held again there this year. So I appreciate you purchasing that one, and I'll try to put the link in the video so people can go there and order one if they would like. We still have a few left, um, and hopefully we'll get a few more sold before next February. So thank you.
Oh, thank you. I love this shirt. I wear it every live I can get on. So I want to, because it says I found my tribe, and I 100% agree. So
Yeah,
thank you, Frank.
it
Yeah.
worked out well. Thank you so much, and I'll talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon. Thank you so much.